Have you ever felt like days slip through your fingers like water, with nothing substantial to hold on to? In the chaos of daily life, we get easily distracted from what truly matters, and before we know it, we've wasted days, months, even years. What if I told you there's a way to focus on what's essential and stop wasting time? In this video, I'll share with you the most powerful Stoic lessons that will help you focus and stop wasting time. These aren't about making huge, unattainable changes, but practical principles that will transform how you live, allowing you to concentrate on what truly matters. These teachings, rooted in the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, are designed to bring you clarity and help you take control of your time and your life. Are you ready to learn how to make the most of every moment and live with purpose? Let's get started. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow"? How many times have excuses or distractions kept you from what you truly want? Today, I'm going to show you how to start prioritizing yourself, just like Jose did. Because no one is going to hand you the life you want unless you fight for it. Are you ready? Let's get started. Lesson 1. Compare yourself only to yourself. Let me be honest with you. Comparing yourself to others is a battle you'll never win. It's a waste of time. There will always be someone faster, richer, stronger, or more successful. Comparing yourself to others is like trying to catch the horizon. No matter how fast you run, it will always be out of reach. And do you know why? Because it's not your race, it's not your path, and it's not your life. This isn't a new idea. The Stoics understood it long ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never be envious. Another person's path is not your path." He was absolutely right. Your real rival isn't out there, it's inside you. The only comparison that makes sense is with the person you were yesterday. Your achievements, your mistakes, and the effort you're willing to put in today to become just a little bit better. Now, I'm not Epictetus or Seneca, but I can share my own experience with this. A few years ago, I constantly compared myself to others. I was that person, always looking outward, dreaming about someone else's car or fitness level. I remember spending hours on social media, scrolling through people's trips, their purchases, their seemingly perfect lives. I'd tell myself, "Look at everything they've achieved. Why am I not there yet?" That obsession drained my energy and made me feel inadequate. It was like being in a bike race but spending all my time looking at the riders around me instead of focusing on my own pedals. One day I stopped. I literally stopped what I was doing and asked myself, what am I gaining from this? The answer was simple. Nothing. At that moment I decided to change. I stopped allowing myself to scroll endlessly. I promised myself I'd look inward instead of outward. I set small daily goals and, most importantly, I started measuring my progress based on where I was before, not on where others were. And do you know what happened? Something magical. My energy came back, my focus sharpened, and little by little I climbed out of that pit of envy and helplessness. I discovered that true success isn't about beating others, it's about surpassing your own limits. But this isn't just motivational talk, it's backed by science. Research from the University of Toronto shows that people who focus on their personal goals instead of comparing themselves to others experience higher levels of happiness and self-esteem. It's simple. The less you compare yourself to the world, the freer you'll be to move forward on your own path. Imagine your life as a garden. If you spend all your time looking at your neighbor's garden, wondering why their flowers are bigger or more colorful, you'll neglect your own. But if you focus on watering your plants, pulling out the weeds and nurturing the soil, your garden will eventually bloom, unique and beautiful in its own way. So let me ask you, how much time have you wasted looking at someone else's life instead of working on your own? How many times have you felt less worthy simply because you measured your success with someone else's ruler? Today, I invite you to make a change. Stop looking outward and start looking inward. Take small steps. Recognize your achievements, no matter how small. Make a list of your strengths and what you've learned along the way, because at the end of the day, the only comparison that matters is whether you're a little better today than you were yesterday. Remember, my friend, You're not in anyone else's race. Your only competition is with yourself. So focus on your garden, pedal your bike, and measure your progress with the only standard that matters: your own. Lesson 2. Turn obstacles into successes. Have you ever been stopped in your tracks by an obstacle? Felt like a problem was so big that there was just no way to move forward? We've all been there. But let me tell you something. What you see today as an insurmountable wall could be the key to achieving something much greater. What sometimes seems like the end of the road is actually just the beginning. For the Stoics, challenges were like personal trainers for the mind and character. They weren't something to avoid, but an opportunity to strengthen your inner self. Marcus Aurelius put it brilliantly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Do you see the power in that idea? The Stoics believed that every obstacle was a test, a chance to practice the virtues they valued so much: patience, resilience, self-control. When you face a challenge, it's not just an inconvenience, it's an invitation to grow. In the eyes of the Stoics, what seems like a roadblock is actually the path to a stronger you. Every difficulty challenges you to stay calm, be resourceful, and improve. If you react with fear or desperation, you lose the chance to become more resilient and wise. But if you embrace this perspective and transform the problem into an opportunity, you'll see how even tough moments can propel you forward. Do you know the story of Gabriel Jesus? Before he became a world-class footballer, he was painting the streets of Brazil for the 2014 World Cup. He lived in a humble neighborhood, and the odds were stacked against him. But instead of letting his circumstances define him, he used every obstacle as motivation. He worked harder than ever and stayed focused on his dream. 4 years later, in 2018, he wasn't painting the streets for another World Cup. He was playing in it, representing Brazil on the biggest stage in football. Do you see? Gabriel Jesus turned what seemed impossible into a stunning success. That's what it means to transform obstacles. Now, imagine this. You're working on an important project, and suddenly, you hit an unexpected problem. Maybe a key opportunity falls through, or you realize you need skills you don't yet have. What do? The easy reaction is to get frustrated, waste time feeling sorry for yourself, and think all your effort was in vain. But what if you saw it differently? What if this challenge is the perfect opportunity to learn something new, reinvent yourself, and find an even better path? What looks like a barrier could be the push you need to grow and move forward. How can you start turning your obstacles into successes? First, adopt a positive mindset. When you face a problem, grab a notebook and write down the obstacle you're dealing with. Then list 3 positive things you could get out of the situation. For example, if a project didn't go as planned, it could be a chance to develop patience, improve your planning skills, or learn how to handle criticism better. Second, take immediate action. When something goes wrong, instead of freezing up, take a small but concrete step forward. If you missed out on a job opportunity, spend an hour searching for new openings or updating your resume. Taking action breaks the paralysis and puts you back in control. Don't let time slip away without doing anything. Third, surround yourself with inspiration. Read stories of people who have overcome obstacles or listen to podcasts that motivate you. If they could turn their challenges into successes, so can you. Surrounding yourself with positive examples reminds you that you're not alone, and that with effort, you can change your situation. Remember, obstacles aren't the end of the road. They're a sign that you're on the right path. The next time you face a barrier, think of Marcus Aurelius's words and turn it into an opportunity to move forward. Don't waste time feeling sorry for yourself. Take control and act. Transform those obstacles into stepping stones toward your goals. Because success isn't measured by how many problems you avoid, but by how many you overcome. Lesson 3. Don't get distracted from your goal. Have you ever tried walking in a straight line while looking to the sides? If you haven't, give it a shot, and tell me what happens. It's impossible, right? Every time you turn your head, your body shifts off course. The same thing happens with your goals and your time. Every time you let yourself get distracted from your objective, you move further away from what you truly want. It may sound dramatic, but trust me, it's the truth. And honestly, it's not entirely your fault. We live in a world built to distract us. Social media, endless notifications, and meaningless tasks pull our attention like a black hole. Did you know that major corporations have entire teams of engineers and psychologists designing algorithms to keep you hooked? Creepy, right? But true. And the worst part? These distractions don't just steal your time, they drain your mental energy. How can you focus on what really matters when everything around you is trying to pull you into its trap? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're carrying a bucket of water, representing your energy. Your goal is to take that bucket to the end of a path and use it to water a tree you've been nurturing, your dream, your purpose. But as you walk, you stop at every corner, spilling a bit of water here and there. A few minutes on social media, saying yes to something that doesn't matter, doing tasks you should have said no to. By the time you reach the tree, the bucket is empty, and your dream remains dry, unable to grow. See the problem? Every distraction is a leak in your energy that could be invested in yourself, in what helps you grow, in what truly matters. 2,000 years ago, there were no social media platforms, yet Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less, but do what's essential." That's the key. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. It's about learning to say no to anything that pulls you off your path. Prioritizing yourself means protecting your attention as if it's your most valuable resource, because it is. You can't let the noise of the world steal your focus. This doesn't mean isolating yourself, but it does mean being mindful of how you use your time and energy. Think about it. How many days have ended with you feeling like you accomplished nothing meaningful? That's the price of distractions. But when you start cutting them out, everything changes. Suddenly, you gain clarity. Your energy flows toward your goal, and every day, you take another step forward, toward your dreams, not where the algorithms want to lead you. So, my friend, the next time something tries to pull you away from what really matters, remember the bucket and the tree. Protect your energy, focus your attention, and stay the course. Because at the end of the day, no one else is going to water that tree for you. It's yours, and only you can make it flourish. Lesson 4. Redefine your expectations. Expectations are like castles in the air that we build when we imagine how things should be. They sound amazing, but when those towers come crashing down, all that's left is frustration. Having sky-high expectations is like holding onto a rope that we think is lifting us up. But in reality, it's about to snap. Come on, be honest. How many times have you been disappointed because things didn't turn out the way you wanted? That's the problem with unrealistic expectations. They make us live in a world that doesn't exist, pull us away from what truly matters, and worst of all, waste our time on unnecessary worries. Let me tell you something the Stoics understood centuries ago. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, knew that our happiness largely depends on our expectations. Instead of hoping for things to be a certain way, he adjusted his outlook, focusing only on what he could control. Imagine Epictetus expecting his master to treat him a certain way or life to always be fair. But he didn't waste time on that. He simply said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish. Rather, wish that they happen as they do, and you will be happy." That's simple. Instead of expecting what he couldn't control, he focused on his own efforts and what he could do at any moment. And no, this isn't just a theory. It happens to everyone, even those we admire. Do you know the singer Lady Gaga? You'd think her path was nothing but success, right? Well, when she first started, she had sky-high expectations. She dreamed of signing with a major record label and becoming a superstar overnight. She imagined her songs playing on the radio everywhere in no time. But she faced rejection after rejection. No record label wanted to sign her. The result? Pure frustration. So, what changed? She realized that having such high expectations was making her lose focus on what really mattered, improving her music. So instead of expecting instant success, She adjusted her expectations. She started focusing on more realistic and achievable goals, like honing her songwriting skills. Instead of expecting immediate recognition, she redefined success as daily progress and consistent work. That change in perspective helped her stop wasting time on what could be and focus on what can I do today. And that was the key that little by little led her to stardom. Want to know if your expectations are so high that they're making you lose focus and waste time on what doesn't matter? First, use the 3 questions technique to evaluate your expectations. When something isn't going the way you hoped, ask yourself, does this depend on me? Is it something I can change? Am I seeing this situation realistically? Answering these questions clearly will help you see if your expectations are too high, or if there's something you need to adjust. This exercise gives you quick perspective, preventing you from wasting time on things you can't control. Second, set micro goals instead of massive ones. Rather than expecting big results immediately, break your objectives into small, achievable steps. For instance, if you want to get better at something, instead of expecting to master it quickly, focus on improving a little each day. Why? Because micro goals let you track your progress and adjust, avoiding frustration if you don't reach the big outcome all at once. Remember, adjusting your expectations doesn't mean settling. It means focusing on what truly matters and saving your energy for things you can actually influence. Lesson 5. Don't fear solitude. Ah yes, solitude. A tricky topic, isn't it? How much time have you spent seeking others to fill the voids that only you can fill? In a world full of distractions and shallow connections, solitude feels like an enemy, when in reality, it's a powerful teacher. Here's the truth. The time you spend with yourself is never wasted. It's an investment with returns greater than any stock market could offer. Think of solitude as a lighthouse in the middle of the ocean. When the waters are calm, you don't need its light. But when the waves rise and the wind howls, the lighthouse is the only thing guiding you safely to shore. Solitude, when embraced, brings clarity. It shows you what truly matters and reminds you that your greatest strength has always been within you. Marcus Aurelius understood this perfectly. He wrote, "In your own soul lies the safest refuge." This refuge doesn't depend on others' opinions, applause, or company. It's a place you can only access when you dare to be alone. Here's a tough but necessary question. Do you fear solitude? It's hard to admit, and maybe you're unsure of the answer. To find out, ask yourself, do you often seek the noise of others when you're alone? Maybe you fill your time with gatherings, shallow conversations, or anything that keeps you from facing your own thoughts. It's okay to admit it. It's an act of courage. Only when we recognize our fears can we begin to confront them. At first, solitude can feel uncomfortable. That silence whispers in your ear, "You're alone." Does that mean no one wants to be with you? But over time, those whispers transform into something deeper, something real. You start to hear yourself, to know yourself better. Solitude doesn't isolate you. It connects you to who you truly are. It helps you face your fears, recognize your strengths, and understand what you really want out of life. Let me ask you, how many times have you avoided being alone because you were afraid of what you might discover? A lot? What if you changed your perspective? What if I told you that what you find isn't something to fear, but a gateway to your best self? In a world that teaches us to fear solitude, being able to embrace it is an act of bravery. It's your chance to reclaim your time, your purpose, and most importantly, your connection with yourself. So don't fear being with yourself, because solitude isn't emptiness. It's the space you need to grow, to listen, and to build the life you deserve. Are you ready to stop searching outward and discover everything that's already inside you? Listen, the time you spend with yourself isn't wasted. It's the first step to stop wasting your life and to focus on what truly matters, you. Sixth lesson, build unbreakable mental resilience. We all face adversity, moments that test us, unexpected situations that knock us down. And it's not always easy to stay strong, right? Sometimes it feels like life hits us when we least expect it. And keeping that mental strength seems like a losing battle. Be honest. How many times have you thought about giving up? It's normal, it happens to all of us. The key isn't to avoid difficulties, but to learn how to face them without breaking. Let me take you to an ancient legend you might already know. But this time, look at it from a different angle. It's the story of Sisyphus, a man condemned by the gods to push a massive boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down once he reached the top. Day after day, the same endless task. What a cruel punishment. He must have thought that more than once. But here's the surprising part. Instead of giving up or cursing his fate, Sisyphus chose to accept his task. He knew he couldn't change what was happening to him, but he could change how he faced it. And with every push, he developed a mental resilience that nothing and no one could take away from him. Because even though the boulder rolled down over and over, his attitude toward the challenge made him invincible. But we don't need to look back at ancient legends to see these kinds of challenges. Sometimes, life itself puts us in front of our own boulder. That's what happened to me. I've always been a very active person, always moving and training. I was on the verge of achieving a personal record I'd been chasing for months. Everything was going great until I got unexpected news. I was injured and needed surgery. In that moment, I felt overwhelmed, like I was pushing a boulder uphill only to see it fall again. All the effort, everything I had worked for, suddenly seemed meaningless. I felt my progress crumbling before me, and the frustration was immense. What did I do? At first, what most people would do, feel sorry for myself, lose focus. But then I remembered a Stoic teaching that helped me change my perspective. Like Sisyphus, I realized that I couldn't control what had happened to me, but I could control how I chose to face it. And that's when I began to build my mental resilience. I stopped wasting time on regrets and focused on what I could control, my recovery. Picture this. You're faced with a situation where everything seems to be going wrong. Maybe it's a problem at work, a project that's not going as planned, or a personal goal you can't reach. Your mind starts to spiral between frustration and discouragement, and the easiest thing to do would be to give in to those thoughts, right? But this is where your mental resilience comes into play. Instead of succumbing to defeat, you choose to stand firm. Do you think it's easy? Spoiler, it's not. But it's what makes the difference between giving up and moving forward. So, how do you build that mental resilience? First, practice controlling your thoughts. How many times have you let negative thoughts take over? Every time you do, you lose control of the situation. Instead, redirect those thoughts towards something more productive. Ask yourself, what can I do now to improve this situation? When you shift your focus, you strengthen your mind. Also, find the lesson in every challenge. Epictetus said that every difficulty is an opportunity to learn and grow. Instead of seeing problems as failures, view them as lessons. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? When you start seeing adversity as an opportunity, you stop wasting time feeling sorry for yourself and begin to grow. Mental resilience isn't built overnight, but don't give up. It's what will keep you focused and prevent you from being defeated by life's hardships. Remember, it's not about avoiding life's blows, but about learning to take them and keep moving forward. Lesson 7. Life is now. Yes, it sounds obvious, but listen, my friend. Life is now. It wasn't yesterday, and it won't be tomorrow. Yet we live as if time is endless, as if there will always be another day to enjoy, to love, to chase our dreams. Be honest with me. How many times have you put off something important for when you have time? Maybe telling your mom how much she means to you, starting that personal project, or simply taking a moment to breathe and savor life. Does this sound familiar? When I retire, I'll finally enjoy life. Yeah? So let me ask you, what if you don't make it to retirement? What if life has other plans, and this is the only moment you have to truly live? Let's not even be so dramatic. Imagine you do reach that long-awaited retirement. Ah, finally, free time. Now you can enjoy life, right? But the years haven't been kind. Maybe your knees won't let you travel the way you dreamed. Think about it. You've spent your entire life waiting for the perfect moment, not realizing that life has always been happening right here, right now. There is no better time to live than today. Every day you spend dwelling on the past or dreaming about the future, you're letting go of the only moment that's truly yours, this one. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you have 1,000 years to live. Time is slipping away. Act now." Picture an hourglass in front of you. Each grain of sand represents a moment of your life that will never return. Now ask yourself, are you spending those grains on something meaningful, or are you letting them fall without even noticing? We live caught between two illusions, regret for yesterday and hope for tomorrow. But the truth is, neither the past nor the future is under our control. All we have is the present. How many times have you sat at the table with your family but spent the moment checking your phone or worrying about your to-do list? You don't need massive changes to start living in the now. Sometimes, it's as simple as looking into the eyes of the people you love and giving them your full attention. Life is not a rehearsal. There are no second chances. What matters is what you do with this moment. Because in the end, nobody remembers perfect days. What they remember are the real moments, those times when you were truly present. So stop postponing. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Live today. Look around you and appreciate what you have, even if it isn't perfect. Because believe me, life isn't about what's coming. It's about what's happening right now. Lesson 8. Disarm manipulation with wisdom. Has anyone ever made you feel guilty for not doing something you didn't want to do? Or maybe they've made you doubt your own decisions, leaving you feeling confused and unsure, like you don't know what to think. Be honest. Has that ever happened to you? Let me be clear. You've been manipulated. That uncomfortable feeling, the sense that someone has played with your emotions, is no coincidence. And the worst part is that if we don't catch it early, we fall into that trap again and again. Imagine you're having an argument with your partner. The conversation starts to get heated, and suddenly they hit you with a line like, "If you really cared, you'd do what I'm asking." Or, "Sure, you always think about yourself. You never consider my feelings." There it is, hitting right at your sensitive points. You start to feel guilty, like you're the problem. Maybe they even say something like, "I don't know why I bother with this relationship if it always ends the same way." You feel trapped, cornered, and think the only way to calm the situation is to give in. But what if you could see that manipulation from the start? What if, instead of reacting with guilt or frustration, you decided to stay calm, take a breath, and not play that game? This is where Stoic wisdom comes into play. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like them." It's not about hitting back, but being wiser. Recognizing manipulation and choosing not to let it control you. Staying calm, being aware of your emotions, and not reacting impulsively is the first step to disarming any manipulator. Have you ever thought about how manipulation affects us? It might seem minor, but manipulation is like a drop of water falling onto a rock. At first, you barely notice it, but over time, each drop slowly wears down that solid rock until it creates a crack. That's how manipulation works, according to psychologist Isabel Serrano Rosa. You start to doubt yourself, your decisions, and the worst part is that you feel responsible for other people's feelings. Little by little, that insecurity eats away at your self-esteem and confidence until you lose control of your emotions. But not all is lost. According to Serrano Rosa, the key is to recognize those signs early, learn to say no without guilt, and set clear boundaries. That way, you regain your confidence and, most importantly, take back control of your life. But don't worry, disarming a manipulator with wisdom is easier than it sounds. Are you ready to give it a try? First, learn to recognize manipulative tactics. Do you often feel guilty for not doing what someone wants? Do you feel insecure or confused after a conversation? Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? This is the first step. If you become aware of these feelings, you can stop the manipulation before it controls you. Second, set clear boundaries. When someone tries to manipulate you, you don't have to play along. You can say no without giving long explanations. Do it calmly but firmly. What are you waiting for? No one has the right to control your time or emotions. Third, stay calm and don't react impulsively. If you react emotionally, you give power to the manipulator. Take a moment to breathe, think about what's happening, and respond consciously. When you control your response, you focus on what truly matters, maintaining your inner peace. Remember, no one can play with your emotions unless you let them. Learn to recognize manipulation and respond calmly. That way, you not only stay focused but also free yourself from wasting energy on things that don't serve you. Now I ask you, have you ever found yourself in one of these situations? Share in the comments if you've ever spotted a manipulator in your life and how you reacted. We'd love to hear from you. 9th lesson, be like an ant. Ants. Those tiny creatures that seem insignificant but hide incredible qualities. Have you ever stopped to observe them? Have you noticed how, despite their size, they seem capable of moving mountains? Ants don't waste time, they don't complain, they don't stop, and most importantly, they never lose sight of their goal. Now imagine what you could achieve if you adopted that same mindset. Think about it. Ants don't have a perfect plan or a detailed map. They don't need to know every step of the way before they start. They just work, step by step, day by day, trusting that their constant effort will take them where they need to go. Here's the key. They don't try to do everything at once. If they need to carry a huge piece of food back to their nest, they don't haul it in one go. They break it down, carry it bit by bit, and in the end, they achieve what seemed impossible. Sounds logical, doesn't it? But let's be honest, how often do we actually act this way in our daily lives? Hardly ever. Do you know what else makes ants unique? They don't wake up in the morning wasting time wondering what to do, debating whether they feel like gathering food or waiting for perfect weather to start working. They just do it. They have a clear purpose, and they don't shy away from it. They don't pause to ask themselves, is what I'm doing enough? They understand that the sum of small daily efforts leads to big results. Let me ask you, how many times have you avoided starting something because it felt too big or complicated? How many dreams have you set aside because you felt like you couldn't tackle it all at once? Being like an ant means remembering that you don't have to do everything today, but you do have to take the first step. You might think I'm crazy, but ants have a lot in common with Stoics. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. Ants understand this well. If they encounter an obstacle, they simply go around it. If they fall, they get back up. They don't waste time lamenting because they know that every small effort counts. Picture an ant colony at the start of the day. Ants march one by one, carrying leaves, seeds, or tiny bits of food that seem insignificant. They don't stop to wonder if their small actions will make a difference or whether they should wait for a better day. They just keep moving forward, over and over, bringing their load back home. By the end of the day, those seemingly small efforts add up to something extraordinary. Food for the entire colony, life-sustaining sustenance. That's the power of ants. They don't worry about the size of each task. They focus only on the next step. What seems small or insignificant in the moment becomes something immense over time, thanks to their persistence and determination. So today, I invite you to think, what could you achieve if you were as consistent as an ant? If you broke your goals into small, manageable actions and simply started. No excuses, no distractions. It doesn't matter how big the challenge is. The only thing that matters is the next step. Be like an ant, persistent, patient, and focused. Because, my friend, mountains aren't moved in one giant push, but grain by grain they can be conquered. Lesson 10. Choose to live here and now. Let me share the story of Sandra, a woman who lived trapped in anxiety for over 17 years. Her thoughts were always split. On one side, everything she could have done better in the past, and on the other, all the things that could go wrong in the future. The present, the moment where life truly happens, slipped through her fingers. Meanwhile, anxiety took control of her life, filling each day with fear and worry. Sandra searched desperately for a way out, but she couldn't seem to find it. Until one day, something changed. she discovered the key to breaking that cycle, learning to live in the present, here and now. She began to focus on what she could control at that exact moment, letting go of worries about the past and the future. And slowly, anxiety lost its grip on her. Sandra started to take back control of her life and began to enjoy the present moment. Today, she helps many people through her blog, I Overcame Anxiety. It's inspiring, isn't it? Now think about yourself. How often have you let your mind drag you into the future, overwhelmed by countless worries, or into the past, making you relive moments you can't change? It happens to all of us. But the truth is, the more time we spend in those thoughts, the less we get out of the present. And worst of all, we're wasting time and energy on things we can't control. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that worrying about the future or regretting the past only distracts us from the now. Picture him, ruling over his empire. Suddenly, he gets news of conflicts at the borders. What do you think he'd do? He wouldn't stress over what might happen tomorrow or lament past battles. Instead, he'd take a breath and return to the present, asking, "What can I do today, in this moment?" That was his strength, living in the now, making decisions with clarity. So be like Marcus Aurelius. Focus on the present and stop wasting time on things you can't control. Now imagine this situation. You made a mistake in the past. Maybe you said something you shouldn't have, or made a poor decision. That thought haunts you, holding you back and making it hard to concentrate, wasting your time. What can you do to free yourself from that burden? First, recognize that the past can't be changed. No matter how much you dwell on it, what's done is done. Ask yourself, what can I do now that will actually help me move forward? The reality is, we can't go back, but we can learn and keep moving. Second, bring your mind to the present using the 3 things technique. Choose 3 elements: a sound you can hear, something you can see, and something you can touch. For example, listen to the murmur of voices around you, observe the details of a plant, or feel the texture of an object in your hands. This simple exercise anchors your mind in the present and keeps thoughts of the past from pulling you away. Third, use your mistake as a lesson. The Stoics taught that every mistake is an opportunity to grow. Ask yourself, what did I do wrong, and how can I avoid it next time? When you see it as a lesson, you'll realize that even the hardest moments can become tools for growth. Fourth, take action. Don't get stuck in fear or guilt. Take a step forward, even a small one. Action is the best way to break the cycle of negative thoughts. So, what are you waiting for? Take that first step without looking back. Always remember, life happens here and now. You can't change the past or control what hasn't happened yet. The only thing you have is this moment. It's up to you to make the most of it or let it slip away. So will you stay trapped in what's already happened? Or will you focus on what truly matters, the present? Lesson 11. Don't give away your time. Think about this. The value you give to your time is the value you give to yourself. Every minute you give away carelessly, every commitment you accept out of fear of saying no, is like signing a blank check with your energy and letting others decide how much to take. Does that sound fair to you? Tell me, what price do you put on your life? Imagine you own a priceless jewel, one of a kind in the entire world. Would you leave it lying on a random counter for anyone to use as they please? Of course not. You'd protect it, guard it carefully, and make sure only those who truly value it could even see it. Well, my friend, you are that jewel. Your time is your most valuable resource, yet you give it away to anyone who asks for a little attention. The problem is, we often don't realize how much this bad habit costs us. We get so caught up in trying to meet everyone's expectations that we forget our time isn't endless. We lose it in pointless meetings, empty conversations, or distractions that add nothing to our lives. But let me be clear. Every hour you waste on something that doesn't help you grow is one less hour you could invest in yourself, your dreams, and what truly matters. Let me put it in the words of Epictetus. If someone tried to steal your possessions, you'd do everything to stop them. So why do you let people steal your time without resistance? Picture a glass of crystal clear water. Every drop represents your time and energy. Now imagine that instead of drinking from that glass to quench your thirst, you're pouring it into cracked plastic cups all around you, trying to fill something that will never be full. What's left for you in the end? Exactly, nothing, just exhaustion and frustration. Protecting your time isn't easy, I know. The world is designed to rob you of every last second of your attention. But if you focus, it's possible. Start by identifying which activities truly add value to your life and which don't. Make a list, write down your priorities, and compare them to how you actually spend your day. Learn to say no, firmly but respectfully. You don't need to apologize for putting yourself first. Block those constant notifications, limit your social media usage, and carve out time for yourself, whether it's to read, meditate, or work on a personal project. At first, it'll feel uncomfortable, I get it. People may not understand, and you'll feel tempted to fall back into old habits. But trust me, every step you take toward better time management will be worth it. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean ignoring others. It means setting clear boundaries so your time and energy are invested in what truly matters. Here's the big question. How many things are you saying yes to that actually deserve a no? How many times have you agreed to something you knew wasn't good for you, just to avoid rejection or judgment? Remember, my friend, every decision you make about your time is a declaration to the world of how much you value yourself. Don't waste it. Use it with intention. Because in the end, time doesn't come back, and only you can decide what to make of it. So tell me, what will you do with yours? Lesson 12. Stop fighting what you can't control. Think about the sea. You can swim, float, even surf the waves. But no matter how hard you try, you can't stop or control them. The sea has its own rhythm, and it moves on, regardless of what you do. In life, we often try to do the same thing. We want to stop those uncontrollable waves. We want to change situations that simply aren't within our power, like other people's opinions, the weather, or events happening around us. But do you realize how much energy you waste trying to change what you can't control? For Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, the secret was in accepting that we can't control the outside world, only how we react to it. It's not what happens to you that upsets you, but how you respond to it, he taught. Epictetus never wasted a second on things outside his control. He didn't worry about other people's criticisms or the twists of fate. He knew that the key to living peacefully was to focus on what he could control, his thoughts and actions, and that's the big lesson. Speaking of that, a story Mel Robbins shared on her podcast comes to mind. She talked about her son's prom night, when she tried to control every detail, from his shoes to the dinner plans. But the day took a turn. It started to rain, and nothing went as she had planned. To make things worse, neither her son nor his friends knew where they wanted to go or what to do after dinner. Seeing her frustration, her daughter said, just let them do whatever they want." It was in that moment that Mel realized how much time and energy she'd wasted trying to control the uncontrollable. And when she let go of that control, she not only stopped worrying but was able to enjoy the moment more. Now, put yourself in a similar situation. You have a weekend getaway planned with friends. Everything is ready: the car, the destination, the activities. But when you arrive, you find that the accommodation isn't what you expected. Rain threatens to ruin the day, and to top it off, some friends are late, delaying the entire plan. What do? Be honest. It's likely that you get angry, frustrated, and focus on how poorly everything is turning out. But what if, instead of fighting what you can't change, you decide to accept the situation and make the best of it? You can't control the bad weather or the delays, but your attitude is within your control. Dr. David Hawkins, in his book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, gives us some tools to handle these kinds of situations. How do we do it? First, identify what you can't change. This is the most important step. Ask yourself, can I do anything to fix this? If the answer is no, then let it go. It makes no sense to waste energy on what's outside your control. Second, use the time to do something productive. Maybe you can't stop the rain or avoid delays, but you can choose how to use that moment. Why not spend that time doing something valuable? Read a chapter of a book, plan your next goals, or simply relax and enjoy the break. Third, accept that things won't always be perfect, and that's okay. Hawkins explains that when we let go of our expectations for perfection, we begin to live more calmly. Your weekend plans might not be perfect, but you can adapt and find the positive side. So, my friend, stop fighting. When you accept what you can't control, you free yourself from a massive burden and take back control of what really matters. In the end, those waves will keep moving, but you'll be able to navigate them with more peace. Lesson 13. The answer is always within. Let me tell you a story, one that I think will help you understand that the answer, my friend, is always within you. Once upon a time, there was a young man named Adrian who lived in a small village surrounded by mountains. One day, he overheard a wise old man say there was a chest of gold hidden at the top of the mountains, but only those brave and persistent enough could find it. From that moment, Adrian dreamed of discovering the treasure. Every night, he went to bed thinking, "If I find it, I'll finally have everything I want: happiness, wealth, and purpose." Finally, he made up his mind. He packed everything he thought he might need and began his climb. Along the way, he met other travelers who gave him conflicting advice. "Turn left here. Take this shortcut. Don't go that way. It's too dangerous." Confused, Adrian tried to follow all their directions, but the only thing he achieved was getting more and more lost. Exhausted and frustrated, he decided to stop. He sat on a rock, and for the first time on his journey, he stopped looking outward. He stopped following what others were saying and started listening inward. He asked himself, "What do I really want? Why am I searching for this treasure? What is my intuition telling me about the path I should take?" In that moment, something shifted. Adrian stopped listening to external voices and trusted his own judgment. He followed his intuition, and with every step, he felt closer to the top. He let himself be guided by the beauty of nature, by the song of the birds, and with each moment he felt happier, more alive, and more connected to his goal. Finally, he reached the summit and saw the chest half buried under a tree. "I can't believe it," he exclaimed, tears in his eyes. He ran to it, opened it, and nothing. The chest was empty. At first, he was furious. Someone must have beaten me to it. How unfair. But after sitting in solitude for a while, he realized the truth. The real treasure wasn't in the chest. It was in the journey he had taken. It was in the confidence he had built in himself, and the answers he had found by listening to his inner voice. Suddenly, Adrian felt free, happy, and fulfilled. Do you see? In the end, he had found his treasure. This story is more than a tale. It's a mirror. How many times have you searched outside for what you could only find within yourself? How often have you followed the opinions, advice, or expectations of others, only to end up feeling lost? Marcus Aurelius summed it up perfectly. Look within. Inside you is the source of strength that will never run dry if you learn to dig in the right place. Life is like that mountain, and the treasure you're seeking isn't at the end of the path. It's in how you face your fears. Learn to trust yourself and discover who you are along the way. So, the next time you feel like you need an answer, don't rush to ask your neighbor or search online. Just stop. Take a moment to listen, because the answer is already within you. No one knows your dreams and desires better than you do. Lesson 14. Break free from emotional blackmail. Picture this. You're having a conversation with a lifelong friend. They ask you for a favor, something you really don't feel like doing, or that doesn't fit into your plans. But they know this, and they use your closeness to influence you. They say things like, "You know I've always been there for you when you needed me," or, "I thought our friendship meant more than this." Before you know it, you start feeling trapped. Their request turns into an obligation masked as friendship. Slowly, they wrap invisible chains around you, and you end up agreeing, not because you want to, but because you feel responsible for their well-being. This is how emotional blackmail works. It's an invisible prison that binds us without our noticing. It drains us, makes us lose focus on what we really want, and steals our time, forcing us to live according to others' expectations. So, what are you waiting for to break those chains? The Stoics understood this well. They taught that we shouldn't be swept away by impulsive reactions or manipulated emotions. For them, the key was to act with virtue and self-control. As Seneca said, "The wise man neither complains nor laments nor depends on another." True freedom comes from taking control of our emotions and making our own decisions, without letting others manipulate us. You might think we're exaggerating, that emotional blackmail isn't that serious or doesn't affect you much. But let me tell you, you're wrong. Rafael Santandreu, a psychologist and expert on this topic, explains that emotional blackmail has a devastating effect on our self-esteem and emotions. Every time we give in to the manipulation of someone close, it's as if we lose a piece of our confidence. We feel trapped, guilty, like we owe that person something. Sound familiar? Over time, this kind of manipulation makes us doubt our own decisions and drains us emotionally. Where does all our energy and time go? To meeting others' expectations instead of focusing on our own goals. That's why Santandreu offers practical tools to free ourselves from this kind of manipulation and take back control. The key, he says, is to recognize when someone is trying to manipulate us and to learn to say no without guilt. By doing this, we start focusing on our own goals and what truly matters. I know. You might be thinking it's really hard to stand firm and set boundaries. But don't worry, that's what we're here for. If you're ready to break free from emotional blackmail, follow these steps. First, identify the patterns. Does this person always make you feel bad when you don't do what they ask? Do they use phrases like, "If you really cared about me"? Recognizing these patterns is the first step in identifying the manipulation. Every time you hear one of these lines, pause. Ask yourself if you truly want to do what they're asking or if you feel obligated. Second, practice saying no firmly and respectfully. You don't need to give long explanations or excuses. Just say, "I can't do that right now." It's hard at first, but with practice you'll realize you have the right to set boundaries without feeling guilty. Third, focus on your own needs. Ask yourself, does this really align with what I want? Don't put yourself last. Make your priorities come first. When you keep your desires and goals in mind, it becomes easier to avoid falling into these emotional traps. And now, reflect on this. How many times have you given in just to avoid making someone uncomfortable? How many times have you put others' expectations above your own plans? Break those chains and take control of your time and energy. Remember, your life is yours. Focus on what truly matters. Lesson 15. Don't be perfect, just move forward. Have you ever felt too scared to start something because everything wasn't just right? That idea that you need the perfect moment or to be an expert before taking the first step? My friend, let me tell you something. Perfection doesn't exist. It's a mirage. Always one step ahead, an elegant excuse to avoid starting. Picture this. You're at a harbor, and your ship is ready to set sail. But instead of departing, you stay there, checking every rope, every sail, waiting for a day with no clouds or wind. Meanwhile, other ships are sailing by, flawed, imperfect, but moving toward destinations you can only dream of. And why? Because you refuse to go until everything is perfect. That's the trap of perfectionism. It keeps you stuck at the dock, frustrated while life moves on. And this isn't just an inspiring metaphor. According to a Harvard University study, perfectionism is closely tied to procrastination. Researchers found that people chasing unattainable standards aren't the ones reaching their goals. They're the ones avoiding tasks out of fear of failure or judgment. It's a vicious cycle. The more you strive for perfection, the less you do, and the less you do, the more incapable you feel of moving forward. Progress, not perfection, is what takes us far. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you wait for the ideal, you'll never act." Do what you can with what you have right now. Every small step matters. Every action, no matter how insignificant it seems, adds up. And really, what's the point of waiting to know everything before you begin? If you never start, you'll never know anything. Think about it. How many things have you left undone because you didn't feel good enough? Maybe you wanted to learn a new language but thought you'd never sound like a native speaker. Or you dreamed of improving your health but froze because you didn't have the perfect workout plan. You get the idea, don't you? There's immense power in simply moving forward, even if you don't have it all figured out. What's the worst that can happen? That you make a mistake? Listen to me, I hope you do. That's how you'll learn. Every day you practice, every small effort is building something bigger. The secret is consistency, not perfection. So ask yourself, what could you achieve if you stopped waiting for the perfect moment? If you stopped making excuses and simply started? Because you don't need to have all the answers right now. You just need to take the first step, then the next and the one after that. Remember, my friend, stumbling isn't failure. It's part of the journey. And on this journey, it's not about being fast or perfect. It's about moving forward with purpose. So let go of the weight of trying to do everything flawlessly and start today. Because every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you deserve. Lesson 16. What does success mean to you? Take a moment to reflect. Is the success you're chasing truly yours? Or is it what others have convinced you to pursue? It's easy to fall into the trap of chasing the world's definition of success. Money, fame, recognition. That's why I'm asking, have you ever stopped to question if you're pursuing something that genuinely fulfills you? Imagine success as a suit. There are beautiful, elegant, and flashy suits that others wear proudly, but they're not tailored to fit you. You can try to put one on, but it will always feel too big or too tight. The discomfort will be constant, and no matter how good it looks on the outside, you won't feel right in it. Why? Because it's not your suit. It's not your success. Do you remember the old story of the tortoise and the hare? The hare, confident in its speed, mocked the tortoise for being slow. One day, they decided to race. From the start, the hare sped ahead, but feeling superior, decided to stop and rest. Meanwhile, the tortoise, undeterred by the hare's speed and unfazed by its taunts, kept moving forward, step by step, slowly but steadily. With persistence, the tortoise stayed focused on its abilities, never trying to compete with the hare or rush the process. In the end, the hare lost the race because it underestimated the tortoise's consistency. It judged the tortoise based on its perceived limitations and overestimated its own abilities. There are many lessons to take from this fable, but here's the one that matters today. It doesn't matter how fast others seem to be moving or how successful they appear. What matters is that you follow your own pace, focused on your own path. If we compare, the hare seemed like the better runner, right? But its abilities were useless because it lost sight of what truly mattered, the goal. The tortoise, on the other hand, defined success on its own terms, with perseverance and focus, and reached the finish line. The Stoics invite us to reflect on this. Seneca wrote, "No wind is favorable for the sailor who doesn't know which port he's heading to." If you're not clear on what success means to you, you'll drift aimlessly, chasing goals that don't fulfill you. And when you finally reach them, you'll find they only leave you wanting more. Modern psychology backs this up. Research shows that people who pursue goals aligned with their personal values and passions are happier and more satisfied with their lives. On the other hand, those chasing external objectives like social approval or status often end up feeling empty, even when they achieve what they thought they wanted. True success isn't measured in universal terms. It's measured by how well you live according to your values, and how you build a life that resonates with you. So today, I invite you to pause. Ask yourself, what truly fulfills me? What makes me feel alive? Here's a hint. Don't look for the answer in applause, trophies, or numbers. As I mentioned earlier, the answer is already within you, waiting for you to have the courage to embrace it and follow it. So tell me in the comments, what does success mean to you? Is it something that makes you excited to get up in the morning? Or is it a checklist of goals imposed by others? I'd love for you to share your idea of success with us. We're listening. 17th lesson. Be the absolute master of your time. Time slips through our fingers like trying to hold on to sand. No matter how hard we try second by second, it all slips away. And if we think about it, what is more valuable than our time? Money, work, even material things. All of that can come and go. But time? It's like gold, the most precious resource we have, yet how often do we let it slip away without a second thought? It happens to all of us. We spend time on things that bring us no real value. Hours wasted on social media, commitments we accept without wanting to, or tasks that take us away from our goals. At the end of the day, we've only done things that don't bring us closer to what we truly want. As Seneca said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Think about how powerful that phrase is, right? The Stoics reminded us that time isn't the problem. The problem is how we use it. They taught us not to waste it on trivial matters, on things that add nothing to our lives or make us better. Every moment spent on the superficial is a moment lost forever, and we need to take that seriously. Being the master of your time means taking the reins of your life and deciding what you truly want to dedicate those precious minutes to. Robin Sharma, author of the 5 a.m. Club, understands this perfectly. He's clear about one thing. Every day must start with a clear purpose. And how do you do that? Dedicate the first minutes of your day to setting your top 3 priorities. Before the world bombards you with distractions, define what really matters. Then create uninterrupted time blocks for those important tasks. Sharma suggests something simple yet powerful. Turn off notifications, create a distraction-free space, and commit to working with total focus. Also, dedicate quality time to yourself. Take a walk without your phone, read a good book, or simply reflect in silence. It's not about doing more, but about doing what truly matters. Because as Sharma says, time isn't something you can negotiate. Either you use it intentionally, or it slips away forever. Let me share something personal. There was a time in my life when, honestly, I was losing focus. I spent all my time on others, endless meetings that led to no decisions, replying to emails that barely mattered, and saying yes to social commitments I didn't even enjoy. I could hardly dedicate time to my partner. We were together but not connected, because my mind was always somewhere else, worrying about 1,000 things. And my health? Forget about it. I didn't take care of myself at all. I ate whatever I found, never exercised, and felt weaker and more neglected each day. I was trapped in a routine that didn't help me grow, and every day I asked myself, what's the point of all this? That feeling of letting myself and those who mattered most down became overwhelming. One day, reading Robin Sharma, something clicked. I realized I needed to take control of my time, that only I could decide what to dedicate my hours and energy to. I started making small changes, prioritizing my health, dedicating more time to my partner, and focusing on improving at work. I left distractions behind and focused on what I truly wanted. Little by little, I became the master of my own time and, most importantly, my life. You might be wondering, why are you sharing something so personal? Well, my friend, because I don't want you to go through what I did. I want you to be the absolute master of your own time. First, identify your time thieves. Are they social media, distractions, unnecessary meetings? Make a list of those activities that steal your minutes each day. Once you identify them, minimize their impact. Decide if they add any value or if it's better to limit that time. Second, set your daily priorities. Each day, before you start, write down 3 things that truly matter and bring you closer to your goals. If you could only accomplish 3 things today, what would they be? This simple exercise is powerful. It keeps you focused on what's important and stops your time from slipping away on meaningless tasks. Third, create time blocks for each important activity. Set aside moments in the day just for you, for your work, for your relationships. Don't let anything interrupt those blocks. For example, If you've decided to spend an hour improving at something, turn off your phone and focus solely on that. This kind of organization not only maximizes your time, but also boosts your productivity. Remember, being the master of your time means being the master of your life. So stop wasting it on what doesn't matter and focus on what truly brings you closer to your goals. In the end, no one will value your time more than you. So, how are you going to spend your time today? Share with us in the comments, and from now on, decide what you really want to dedicate your most valuable minutes to. Lesson number 18. Don't fear falling, learn to rise. How many opportunities have you let pass because you were afraid to fail? How many times have you said no to something that deep down excited you, but of course, you didn't feel ready to take the leap? Let me be clear with you. Those are all excuses. They sound plausible because your brain knows you so well. Yes, you heard that right. And no, this isn't a scolding, it's a way to help you see things as they are. We've all been there. The fear of stumbling sometimes pushes harder than the excitement of something new. We freeze, we doubt, and we stop moving forward. But here's the problem. If you don't dare to fall, you won't get hurt. But you also won't live the life you could have lived. Do you know what people regret most on their deathbeds? Exactly. They regret not seizing those moments, those opportunities that life gives you, perhaps only once. They regret wasting their time by not daring to fail. Imagine you're building a bridge toward your best self, toward the life where you're truly focused on yourself, without wasting a single moment. Every mistake, every stumble, is like a plank that wobbles beneath your feet. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. Is it scary? Also, yes. Terrifying even. But if you stop moving forward because one plank isn't stable, you'll never finish crossing the bridge. The key isn't avoiding those shaky planks. It's learning to step on them with confidence and keep going. As Marcus Aurelius said, what stands in the way becomes the way. Falls aren't obstacles to your progress. They are the tools that allow you to build it. Think about this. What would you do if you knew that every stumble brought you closer to the life you desire? If you understood that falling isn't a setback, but part of the growth process? Being Stoic means accepting the reality of falling and using it as an opportunity to become stronger. Yes, I know this all sounds beautiful, but when you're in the heat of the moment, the stumbles can be terrifying. So here's something that might help you next time life challenges you. Every time you make a mistake or feel stuck, unsure of whether to move forward or stay where you are, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How can I apply it to improve? Every stumble carries a lesson that prepares you for the next step. Focus on what you can control. Yes, it's a Stoic classic, but it works. Don't waste your energy on what's already happened. Focus on what you can do today to move forward, and don't forget to start again. Every time you rise, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. Listen closely. No one will remember your falls, but everyone will see how far you went in the end. Don't waste your life fearing falls, because each stumble holds an opportunity to grow, to move forward, and to rise stronger. So take that first step, and if you fall, get up with even more strength. What truly matters isn't how many times you fall, but how many times you choose to keep going. Let those falls become the stepping stones that build the path toward your best self. With each step you take after rising, you'll gain strength, clarity, and confidence in yourself. So, tell me, what's holding you back today from trying one more time? Share it with me in the comments and stay just a bit longer. What's coming next will show you the final step to a life well lived, filled with meaning and value. Lesson 19. Stop comparing yourself. Comparisons. Another hot topic, don't you think? If there were a counter for how many times we've looked at others to measure what we lack, it would probably show an absurdly high number. This constant comparison is like carrying a backpack full of stones that don't belong to you, yet you still choose to carry them. The problem isn't in admiring others, it's in thinking you can fill your own gaps by trying to be like them. And I don't blame you, It's almost inevitable when we're surrounded by displays of the perfect life, the perfect car, the perfect house. You know what I mean. Social media feels like a malicious platform designed to make you feel less than. But here's the truth. It's up to you where you choose to focus. Picture this. Imagine you're rowing down a river. You've got your own raft and your own paddles, but instead of rowing, you spend your time looking at the boat next to you. That boat is bigger. It doesn't even have paddles. It's got giant motors. It almost steers itself. And what do you tell yourself? You don't say, "Wow, look at me. I'm proving my worth as a rower despite having less." Be honest, that's not what you'd think, is it? It's probably more like, "Why don't I have that big boat? I always have to work twice as hard to get half as much." See the problem? This isn't just a metaphor, it's the endless scroll on social media. The conversations with your partner about the neighbor's new car. Enough already. While you're stuck in those thoughts, your raft is drifting, stagnant. What good is having your own paddle if you don't use it? Marcus Aurelius wrote centuries ago, "Stop arguing about what a good man should be one." It's not about what others are doing. It's about what you choose to do with your life, your time, and your energy. Do you feel like your achievements aren't enough because you compared them to someone else's? Maybe a friend bought a bigger house, a coworker got a promotion, or someone on social media seems to be living a flawless life. But let me tell you something. What you see from others is just a small part, a facade. You can't measure your life with a ruler that doesn't belong to you. Think of it this way. Comparing yourself to others is like trying to use someone else's compass to find your way. It doesn't work. Only you know where you want to go and what you need to get there. The right compass isn't out there, it's within you. But how do you stop comparing yourself in a world filled with marketing, filters, and aesthetics? Start by taking inventory of your achievements. Recognize what you've accomplished, no matter how small it may seem. Those steps are yours, and no one can take them away from you. Next, create your own goals. Define what truly matters to you, not what others say should matter. And my friend, practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, appreciate what you do have. Gratitude will shift your perspective. The Stoics taught us that true success isn't about surpassing others, but about surpassing the person you were yesterday. That's the only comparison that makes sense. Let me leave you with one last question. What could you achieve if you stopped wasting your life looking sideways and focused only on your own path? The answer isn't in what others are doing, it's in what you decide to do from now on. So drop that backpack full of stones that don't belong to you and start rowing with strength. Because here's a secret, my friend. Your life doesn't need to be better than anyone else's. It needs to be authentic and aligned with who you are. Lesson 20. Decide without fear. Phew. Just thinking about it, you already feel that knot in your stomach, don't you? You know what I'm talking about. That feeling that paralyzes you, holds you back, and keeps you from moving forward. You find yourself stuck, not because you don't want to take the step, but because fear stops you. It's like being in a dark room, afraid to move because you don't know what you'll run into. And so fear becomes an invisible prison. Be honest. How many times have you avoided doing something just because of fear? How many opportunities have you missed? The Stoics knew that we must not let fear control us. They taught us to face it, not to let it make decisions for us. As Seneca said, the only way out is through. And there's no truer phrase. The only way to overcome fear is to face it, to look it straight in the eye and push through. It's not about getting rid of it, but about moving forward despite it. How can you do this? When fear shows up, instead of avoiding it or letting it hold you back, act like a Stoic. Remember, it's just an emotion. Breathe, feel its presence, but take the step anyway. Because in the end, only by walking through that fear can you move toward what you truly desire. Did you know that practicing mindfulness can help you face fear? A study from Stanford University proved this. It's not about avoiding fear, but observing it, understanding it, and acting in spite of it. Mindfulness helps us recognize that fear is just a reaction, and we decide whether we let it paralyze us. Can you imagine the freedom of being able to say to fear, "Not today, you're not going to control me"? Imagine you've always dreamed of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. From below, you see the snowy summit. You imagine the view from the top, that feeling of freedom and achievement. But when you think about doing it, fear sets in. You feel the path is steep, filled with unstable rocks, and that it will be freezing cold. You wonder, will I be able to handle it? Am I fit enough? What if I don't make it halfway? What if I fail? Fear paralyzes you. You get stuck in that indecision, going in circles without moving. But then you remember Seneca's Stoic teaching. The only way out is through. There is no other way. The only way to reach the summit is by facing the fear and walking through it. You take a deep breath and decide that, even though the fear is still there, you're going to take the first step, then another, and another. So, how do you leap and decide without fear in your daily life? First, name your fear. Sometimes simply identifying it makes it less powerful. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Maybe it's the fear of failure, of looking foolish, or not being good enough. By naming it, you acknowledge it, and that takes away some of the power it has over you. It's like telling it, "I know who you are and where you are, but you won't stop me." Second, use the small steps technique. Instead of tackling everything at once, take small steps toward what you want. For example, if you're afraid of public speaking, start by practicing in small groups or in front of friends. Little by little, the fear decreases and you feel more capable. You don't have to conquer it all at once, you just need to start. Third, decide to act. Do it scared. Yes, exactly. The fear will still be there, but you're going to take the step anyway. What's the worst that could happen? When you realize that, in reality, the risks aren't as big as they seem, you'll be encouraged to keep going. That's the key. Even if you're afraid, keep moving forward. Because the truth is this: fear will always be present in our lives. But only when we learn to face it and take that first step despite it, do we truly take control. Lesson 21. Make gratitude your superpower. Have you ever really counted how many times you complain in a day? Be honest, have you kept track? If you did, you'd be surprised. We complain about little things all the time: traffic, the heat, the cold. It's a constant stream of complaints, and if you wrote them all down, you'd realize just how many pile up in a single day. Can you imagine how different your life would be if, instead of complaining, you practiced gratitude? Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a powerful tool. Think of it as a superpower that transforms every situation. Because when we're grateful, we don't just improve our well-being, we completely change our perspective. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Seneca spoke about how our way of valuing things is often distorted. We tend to focus on what we think we lack and forget what we already have. That's where gratitude comes in. Being thankful for what we have allows us to see that we actually have much more than we think. It shifts our focus to the positive, to what really matters. Picture this: you wake up one morning, and the first thing you do is complain because your coffee got cold, because traffic is unbearable, or because you have 1,000 emails waiting for you. You start your day stressed, trapped in a spiral of negativity. Now, change the scenario. Imagine waking up and, instead of complaining, you think, "Today is a new opportunity. I'm grateful for the roof over my head, for the food on my table, for the work I have." Suddenly, your day is no longer a burden, but an opportunity. You can't change the coffee, the traffic, or the emails. But there is one thing that will improve radically: your attitude. I know, it's easier said than done. But one thing I've learned over time is that gratitude is not just a mental exercise. It's a shift in perspective that can completely redefine your life. Let me share a story with you. Deepak Chopra, the famous doctor and spiritual guru, experienced something very similar. His life was a constant race, full of stress and chaos, until he discovered the power of gratitude. Each morning, before diving into his hectic schedule, he took a moment to be thankful. At first, it seemed like a small thing, but over time, that simple practice changed his life. What used to be pressure turned into peace. What used to be stress transformed into clarity. Chopra teaches us that you don't need to make huge changes, just small moments of daily gratitude to regain control of your life. Want to make gratitude your superpower and stop wasting time on what doesn't matter? First, when you wake up, take a moment to breathe deeply and be aware of the new day beginning. Instead of looking at your phone, spend a minute recognizing what's in front of you. It could be the silence of the morning or the comfort of your bed. It's a small gesture, but starting with that awareness can completely change the pace of your day. Second, keep a gratitude journal. Spend 5 minutes at the end of the day writing down 3 moments you're grateful for. Ask yourself, who helped me today? What did I do well at work or home? What small detail made me smile? Writing it down makes you more aware of what you have. Third, each day choose someone in your life to thank directly. It doesn't have to be a long speech. It could be a simple, "Thank you for your support," or "I'm glad you're in my life." Thanking others strengthens your relationships and makes you more aware of how lucky you are to have the people around you. Remember, it's about making gratitude a part of your daily life, using it as a tool to live more calmly, more focused, and most importantly, happier. Because when you start being grateful, you start valuing. And when you value what you have, you stop wasting time on what you don't need. So, are you ready to make gratitude your superpower? Lesson 22. Dreams stop being dreams when you dare to act. Every great achievement starts the same way, as a simple thought in the mind of someone who decided not to leave it there. Look around you. Every building, every invention, every masterpiece was once just an idea. But what made the difference between a simple wish and something real was that someone dared to take the first step. And here comes the most important question. How many times have you let a dream stay in your head out of fear of trying? Because here's the key to all of this. Training your mind to break your limits means learning to act despite fear. If you only think about what you want, if you only visualize it without moving, you'll stay exactly where you are. Imagine standing on the edge of a river. On the other side lies the life you've always wanted, your success, your best version. In front of you, there are stepping stones in the water, made of doubts and fears. You don't need to swim, you don't need a boat. You just have to take the first step and start crossing. But instead of moving, you stand there waiting to feel ready, waiting for someone to carry you across, waiting for your dream life to magically come to you. Because of course, crossing that path of doubt and fear is just too much for you. It's only a metaphor, I know, but how sad. A tiny temporary obstacle is keeping you from what you've always wanted. And no, the stones aren't the real obstacle. The real obstacle is the importance you give them. No one who has achieved something great started with everything perfectly clear, without doubts or fear. But they dared to walk the path while others only dreamed about it. That friend who always says they'll start going to the gym, who wants to get in shape, but every week finds a new excuse not to start. Or that coworker who says they're going to learn a new language because it would open so many doors, but always puts it off until next year. And what happens? Months go by, years go by, and they're still in the same place. Life keeps passing them by. Now imagine that, instead of waiting for the perfect moment, they had taken one small step every day. Where would they be today? The Stoics never sat around waiting for things to happen on their own. To them, action was what defined a person. Do you think Marcus Aurelius dreamed of being a great leader, but let fear paralyze him? Do you think he waited for the perfect moment to act? Or do you think his greatness came because he made decisions, faced challenges, and turned every obstacle into an opportunity? He put it clearly. Stop debating what it means to be a good person and just be one. Translation: stop thinking about what would happen if you tried something and start trying, without fear. Imagine a bridge. You're on one side and on the other is the success you want so badly. But that bridge won't build itself with thoughts alone. Every step you take, every action, every small advance is another brick in that construction. And here's something you need to know. Dreams don't die because they're impossible. They die because people don't dare to build the bridge. Want the secret to making it happen? Simple. Start now, even if you don't know how. No one starts ready. No one starts perfect. But those who start eventually learn. Stop thinking about step 100 and focus on step 1. Many never begin because they overthink everything. Just do something, no matter how small. And most importantly, do it before you feel ready. Waiting for the perfect moment is the best way to make sure it never happens. Your dreams can stay in your mind forever, or they can become part of your story. The only difference between the two is your decision to start. Lesson 23. You don't need motivation, you need a system. I'm sure you felt that surge of motivation after watching an inspiring video, reading a powerful quote, or imagining the life you want. In that moment, you feel unstoppable. You say, starting tomorrow, I'll wake up early, start training, stop wasting time, and give it my all. But then the next day comes and nothing happens. Or worse, you start strong, but a week later, everything falls apart. Why? Because relying on motivation is like trying to start a fire with paper. It burns fast but dies out in seconds. Motivation is just a spark, and like any spark, it's fleeting. One bad day, one night of poor sleep, one minor distraction, and it's gone. Now tell me, what's your daily routine? Let me guess. You wake up, check your phone, compare your life to some influencer who just posted their new luxury car, sigh, eat a processed breakfast, and leave the house feeling like something is missing, like something isn't right. If this is the script you follow every day, do you think you'll be able to get the most out of your mind? Out of your life? I don't think so. The Stoics knew they couldn't depend on their emotions to achieve excellence. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule an empire by waiting to feel motivated to do the right thing. He had a system. He woke up early, reflected on his purpose, wrote in his journal to train his mind, and faced the day with discipline. And Epictetus said, "The harder the task, the greater the glory in overcoming it." The most skilled sailors are not made in calm waters. The Stoics didn't wait to feel like doing what they needed to do. They just did it. They didn't let emotions dictate their destiny. They lived by principles, not by moods. A Roman soldier didn't train because he felt like it. He trained because his life depended on it. If you treat your goals as optional, you'll always find an excuse. But if you treat them as a personal duty, as a commitment to yourself, you'll achieve them no matter what. And this isn't just a Stoic idea. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, explains that success isn't about having goals. It's about building systems that make progress inevitable. But how do you build a system that leads you to everything you want to achieve? You may be wondering. Let's break it down. First, design your routine so that it runs like clockwork even when you don't feel like it. Don't rely on willpower. Create habits that don't require decision-making. If you want to work out, set out your clothes the night before. If you want to read more, leave your book on the table. Make it harder to fail than to succeed. Next, set rules, not intentions. Don't say, "I'll try to wake up early." Say, "I wake up at 6 a.m., no excuses." When you turn your desires into personal rules, everything changes. And finally, forget the lie called perfection. Aim for consistency, not perfection. One bad day doesn't ruin your progress, but quitting does. If you slip up one day, get back on track the next. The key to success isn't never failing, it's never giving up. Remember, you are not your emotions. You are not the motivation you feel one day and lose the next. You are what you repeatedly do. So stop waiting to feel like it. Build a system that drives you to success even when you're not motivated. Because results don't come to those who wait for the perfect moment. They come to those who act even when they don't feel like it. Lesson 24. Limits exist only in the mind. How many times have you told yourself, "I'm not good at this, I could never do that, I'm not meant for this"? Many times, right? Now tell me, have you ever truly tried? Or did you stop yourself just because you weren't good at it in the past? Or worse, because someone told you that you couldn't? Most people don't even test their own limits. They stop before they even start. But here's a fact that science has proven over and over again. Your brain is plastic. It can learn, adapt, and improve to levels you can't even imagine. The Stoics didn't have neuroscience studies, but they already knew this. They knew the mind could be trained to endure pain, overcome fear, and conquer any obstacle. Epictetus put it clearly with this quote, "If someone hands you a closed book and tells you it's useless, would you believe it without opening it? Then why do you do the same with yourself? Have you seen the movie Limitless? If you have, you already know what I'm talking about. If not, let me summarize it quickly. The protagonist is a failed writer who one day discovers a miracle pill. When he takes it, his brain activates at 100% capacity. He remembers everything he has ever read, processes information at a superhuman speed, and his intelligence skyrockets. Overnight, he becomes unstoppable, smarter than anyone else. And what if I told you that you don't need a pill to unlock your potential? Because even though the movie is fiction, its message is real. Most people go through life using only a fraction of their true mental power. Not because they lack capacity, but because they've accepted limits that aren't real. They've imposed them on themselves, or their family did, or their environment, or the media. And this is where the Stoics come in. They didn't believe in magic or shortcuts, but they knew that the power of the mind is what defines our destiny. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your mind can be your greatest tool or your worst enemy. If you believe you can't do something, you're right because you won't even try. But if you believe something is possible, you're also right. How is that possible? Because your mind will focus on making happen whatever you tell it to. That's why when you remove mental barriers, everything changes. And no, I'm not talking about daydreaming. I'm talking about working, practicing, and convincing yourself that you are capable through action. Challenge your limiting beliefs. Every time you think, "I can't do this," question it. Can't you? Or have you simply never seriously tried? Are you bad at it? Or have you just not practiced enough? Do something difficult every day. Step out of your routine. Surprise yourself by doing things you once thought you couldn't. If your mind gets used to discomfort, it becomes stronger. Surround yourself with things that elevate you. If you only listen to people who complain and give up, your mind will absorb that mentality. Change your environment, and you'll change the way you think. In real life, there's no magic pill that multiplies your brain's power. But there is something better, the certainty that you can train your mind to break any limit. So tell me, are you going to keep living with imaginary barriers, or are you going to start discovering what you're truly capable of? The choice is yours. Be the protagonist of your own success story. Lesson number 25. No one has gone far without failing 1,000 times. Tell me, how many times have you given up because you thought you had already failed too much? Maybe you hate your job but stay there because the fear of the unknown paralyzes you. You tell yourself, "What if I quit and can't find something better?" Or maybe you have a dream, a project, something you really want to do, but you don't even try because you think, "What if it doesn't work? What if I make a mistake? What if I embarrass myself?" Ah, the trap of fearing failure. What a common headache. But here's the truth no one tells you. Failure is not the end. It's the price you pay to go far. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. To them, failure wasn't a tragedy. It was a test. They didn't define themselves by what happened to them, but by how they responded to it. Look at the story of Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. He lost everything in a shipwreck. His entire wealth, his stability, gone, swallowed by the sea. Think about it. If that happened to you today, how would you take it? You'd probably say it was the worst day of your life, that it was unfair, that luck had turned its back on you. But Zeno saw it differently. Instead of complaining, he looked for a new path. He ended up in Athens, discovered philosophy, and created one of the most influential schools of thought in history. Years later, when he looked back, he said these words, "By suffering shipwreck, I had a good journey." Wow. Do you see how powerful that is? What would have been the end for most people was just the beginning for him. The problem is that we've been taught to see failure as an insurmountable wall when in reality, it's a staircase. Think about how you learned to walk. You fell hundreds of times before taking your first steady step, but you didn't stop because you didn't even know what failure was. You only knew you had to try again. The human brain is designed to adapt. Neuroscience has shown that when we fail, our neural connections strengthen. It's as if every mistake teaches us the right way to do something. Failure literally makes you smarter, more capable of reaching success. So if your brain understands this, why don't you? The only way to get good at something is to fail enough times until you find the right path. So stop avoiding failure and start seeing it as your greatest teacher. If something didn't go well, try again with a new approach. Learn to see failure as a sign of progress, not as a punishment. And most importantly, don't take failure personally. It doesn't mean you're not capable. It only means you're still in the process of becoming so. Dare to try. Instead of fearing the fall, start strengthening yourself so you can withstand it. Now, I want you to commit. Are you going to keep seeing failure as a curse, or are you going to start using it to your advantage? Tell us in the comments, what failure are you afraid of that is stopping you from taking action? And what step are you going to take today to face it? Right. Failure is my teacher, and make this your commitment. We'll read your comments and be with you on this journey. Lesson 26. Consistency is the ultimate weapon. You've probably seen someone with talent, intelligence, or great ideas, but who never accomplished anything. People who started strong, full of energy, with a clear vision, but stopped halfway. Because in the end, it's not the most talented or the most intelligent who win. It's the ones who keep going when everyone else has given up. Consistency is what separates those who dream from those who make their dreams a reality. It's what allows you to break your limits over and over again. Many people think failure happens when things don't go well, but that's not failure. Failing isn't stumbling, falling, or making mistakes. Failing is stopping. Think about this. If you start working out today, you won't see results in a week. If you start learning a new language, you won't be fluent in a month. But if you keep at it for a year, 2 years, 5 years, where will you be? And what if you had started 5 years ago and stayed consistent? You'd probably already be bilingual. Darren Hardy, author of The Compound Effect, reinforces this idea with one of his most powerful quotes. It's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you do consistently. His point is clear. Small daily actions repeated over time create exponential results. It's not about doing something spectacular once, but about doing it well, consistently. Another expert, Cal Newport, author of Deep Work, explains it in a different way. The key to success is not inspiration, but the discipline of doing deep work day after day. His philosophy is simple. Success doesn't come from flashes of genius, but from sustained effort over time. And who were masters of consistency centuries ago? That's right, the Stoics. They didn't need modern productivity hacks or YouTube tutorials. They already knew that true success is hidden in repetition, in daily discipline. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, didn't become a strong leader by chance. He wasn't born with an unbreakable mindset. He trained it. Every morning, he wrote in his journal, reflected on his thoughts, and corrected his mistakes. Not for a single day, but for decades. And he made his belief clear with these words: "Your repeated actions determine your character." So, my friend, if you want to change your life, you first have to change what you do every day. Imagine planting a seed each day. At first, it seems like nothing is happening. But if you keep watering it, giving it light, and caring for it, one day, without even realizing it, you have a tree. But if you stop too soon, if you stop watering the seed, you'll never know how big it could have been. So stop expecting instant results. Success doesn't happen overnight. It's something you build with every small action. And while you don't need to read thousands of productivity books or memorize every tutorial online, these tricks will help. First, commit to improving just 1% each day. You don't need huge changes. Small efforts, repeated over time, become unstoppable. Second, eliminate the all-or-nothing mindset. It doesn't matter if you miss a day or don't progress as much as you wanted. What matters is that you don't stop. And third, as I've already told you, build systems, not just goals. Don't just think, I want to be successful. Think about what actions you need to repeat every day to get there. Everything you want is on the other side of consistent effort, not on the other side of a lucky break. Burn that into your mind, and there will be no goal beyond your reach. Lesson 27. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. Imagine for a moment that everything you desire is on the other side of a closed door. There's no lock, no secret code. You just have to dare to push it open. But here's the problem. Most people don't even try to turn the doorknob because they believe they don't have the right to enter. That is the biggest trick the mind plays on us. We convince ourselves that certain dreams are too big, that only a privileged few can achieve them. But tell me, have you ever seen a child doubt their imagination? They don't ask if they can or not. They simply create what they desire in their minds. And that's the key. You don't need to be a creative genius to make your dreams come true. You just need to believe in them to bring them to life. As Robin Sharma said, everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. Think about the greatest inventors and artists. Before they built, before they created, they first saw what they wanted to achieve in their minds. Leonardo da Vinci sketched helicopters centuries before they existed. Edison imagined the light bulb before he ever lit it. Ah, what a wonder. What an inspiration, right? Everything starts with imagination. But here's the interesting part. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Seneca put it clearly. Fate leads the willing and drags those who resist. Do you get it? Your destiny is nothing more than the manifestation of the limits you choose to accept or break. Now, let's get practical. I don't want you to think this is just fairy tale philosophy or feel-good motivation. Neuroscience has proven that the brain doesn't distinguish between a real experience and an intensely imagined one. Studies show that when you visualize something in detail, your brain activates the same areas as if you were actually doing it. One experiment proved this. A group of people physically practiced playing the piano for weeks, while another group only imagined playing without moving a single finger. The result? Their brains showed almost identical changes. Do you realize how powerful this is? What you think shapes your brain just as much as what you do. So if you keep repeating "I can't" in your head, you're training your mind to fail before you even try. How can you apply this to your daily life? First, practice visualization. This isn't just daydreaming. Sit down every day, close your eyes, and picture your goal in as much detail as possible. What are you doing when you achieve it? How do you feel? What's your environment like? The more vivid the image, the greater the impact on your brain. Next, speak to your mind with power. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." The same applies to how we see ourselves. Change your internal dialogue. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at this," say, "I'm getting better every day, and I will succeed." And listen closely, because here's the final key. Act as if you already are the person you want to become. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start behaving today as if you already had the mindset and discipline of someone who has achieved that success. If you want to be a writer, write. If you want to be an athlete, train. Your brain will adapt to the actions you repeat. My friend, believe me, everything you desire is within your reach, but you first have to see it within yourself. You don't need the world's permission to achieve it. The only thing you need is the certainty that you can and the determination to start. Remember, if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. Not because it's magic, but because that's how your mind works. Lesson 28. The world owes you nothing. Nothing in this life is owed to you. No one owes you success, no one owes you happiness, no one owes you recognition. And guess what? That is your greatest blessing. Because if the world owed you something, you'd be stuck waiting. waiting for someone to give you an opportunity, for destiny to align, for the circumstances to be perfect. But since no one owes you anything, you are free to go out and get it yourself. If you keep believing that something or someone will come to save you, you will never take control of your own life. We think things should be a certain way. But who said the world operates by our rules? You work hard at your job and expect a promotion because you deserve it. But what happens if that promotion never comes? If they promote someone with less experience? You feel frustrated because you believed effort was enough, and of course, life owes you. Wrong. Here's another example. You help someone, give them your time, your energy, and expect them to repay you the same way. But one day you need support, and that person isn't there. You feel betrayed because you thought life worked on some automatic reward system. But here's the truth. The world is not designed to meet your expectations. There are no cosmic rules guaranteeing you will get what you believe you deserve. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't act with the hope of being rewarded. They simply did what was right because it was the right thing to do. Epictetus put it clearly, do not seek for events to happen as you wish. Rather, wish for them to happen as they do, and you will be at peace. They understood that life doesn't adjust to you, you adjust to life. They didn't expect the world to be fair. They didn't expect gratitude or rewards. They simply did what needed to be done and accepted whatever came their way. Imagine life as an ocean, and you are in the middle of it. You can spend your days screaming for help, waiting for someone to rescue you. Or you can start swimming. If you're not where you want to be, it's not your boss's fault. It's not your parents' fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not the economy's fault. It is your responsibility. It is your life. And training your mind means exactly that. Taking full control of your thoughts, your actions, and the consequences they create. Don't wait for opportunities. Create them. Don't wait for motivation. Act without it. Don't wait for justice. Do what's right anyway. Don't wait for approval. Be your own judge. Accept that life isn't fair, and that's okay. Let go of the idea that if I do X, I deserve Y. Life doesn't follow formulas, but those who keep moving forward will always go further. Whatever you do it for yourself, because you believe it's the right thing to do. Not because of what you think you'll get in return. Work hard, not to get a promotion, but to become someone so valuable that the promotion becomes inevitable. Help others, not expecting gratitude, but because who you are is worth more than what you receive. When you stop waiting for the world to give you something, you start taking it for yourself. And let me tell you a secret. The reward is enormous. Lesson 29. Stop putting stones in your own path. Once upon a time, a donkey fell into a well. Scared, he tried to climb out, but the walls were too high. He brayed, kicked, but no one came to help. His owner, seeing the situation, thought there was no solution. He's old anyway, not worth the effort, he told himself. So he grabbed a shovel and started throwing dirt on top of him to bury him right there. Sad, right? With every shovelful of dirt, the donkey, very wisely, didn't let himself be buried. Instead, he shook off the dust and stepped on it again and again, shake it off, step up higher and higher, until finally he used all that dirt to climb out of the well with his own strength. How incredible! Do you know what the donkey's greatest advantage was? He had no limits because he didn't even know what limits were. Now tell me, how many times have you been the one burying yourself? How many times have you turned a problem into an absolute roadblock when, in reality, it was an opportunity to grow? How many times have you been that poor donkey, seeing nothing but giant walls around you and dirt falling on top, without realizing you could use it as a stepping stone to climb out? Listen, the Stoics didn't see problems as a curse, they saw them as training, life's way of making us stronger. They didn't believe in complaining, they believed in action. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled through wars and plagues, could have given in to despair. But instead, he chose to use every obstacle as a precious gem of wisdom and learning, every setback as a step toward success. He wrote that obstacles aren't the end of the road. They are the very tools that will make you stronger if you choose to face them. Let's be honest. How many times have you held yourself back before even trying? You've let fear paralyze you, made excuses, procrastinated, and watched from afar as your dreams remained out of reach, all just to avoid failure. But here's the irony. You're not protecting yourself from failure. You're depriving yourself of the success that comes from learning through failure. Be real with yourself. How many times have you told yourself things like, "I don't have time to improve"? Are you sure? But somehow you have time for Netflix and scrolling through social media. "I'm just not talented." Listen to me. No one is born knowing. Talent isn't a gift, it's the result of work. And my personal favorite, it's not the right time. Enough. There is no such thing as the perfect time. The only time that exists is now. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll die waiting. My friend, it's time to ask yourself questions, but the right ones. Instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" ask yourself, "What if it works?" Your mind will take you in whatever direction you point it. Turn problems into stepping stones. Every obstacle is just an opportunity in disguise. If the road is blocked, find another way forward, and do it now. Stop overanalyzing. Stop planning forever. Take one step today, just one, and tomorrow another. Tell me, are you going to keep burying yourself, or are you going to shake off the dirt and climb out of the well? Because the biggest obstacle in your path isn't what happens to you. It's the dramatic story you tell yourself about it. Now I ask for a small commitment. Write in the comments, "Today I stop putting stones in my own path." That way I'll know you're ready to fight. Lesson 30. Reprogram your mind. I'll confess something to you. Years ago, I fell into the trap of my own mind. There was something I had always wanted to do, but it terrified me. Public speaking. Every time I imagined stepping onto a stage, I felt a knot in my stomach. I told myself, "You're not good at this, you're going to embarrass yourself, everyone will judge you." So every opportunity I had, I turned it down. But fear doesn't disappear when you avoid it, it only gets stronger. I remember two moments that proved this perfectly. The first was in class when a teacher asked me a simple question. I knew the answer, but I completely froze. My mind kept repeating, "Don't say something stupid." And the silence became so unbearable that someone else answered for me. The second was even worse. I was asked to present a project in front of a small group of co-workers. It was an important project. My dream promotion depended on it. I started off well, but suddenly my voice shook, my words tangled, and I ended up stuttering, unable to finish a sentence. I felt everyone's eyes on me, and my only instinct was to disappear. At the time, I didn't understand what was happening. I thought my problem was a lack of skill, but the truth was something else. My mind was sabotaging me. Later, I came across a quote from Marcus Aurelius that changed everything. "Our life is what our thoughts make of it." I realized that every time I anticipated failure, my body reacted as if it were already happening. It wasn't fear that was paralyzing me, it was my inner dialogue. So I made a decision. If my mind could be trained to limit me, it could also be trained to empower me. During that time, I started reading more about the Stoics. I discovered that, to them, the mind was the only thing we truly have control over. Everything else, our environment, our circumstances, other people's opinions, was irrelevant. A clear example is Epictetus, who was born a slave. Imagine how easy it would have been for him to believe he would never achieve anything. But instead, he changed his perception of himself. He couldn't control his external conditions, but he could control his thoughts. He educated himself, strengthened his mind, and became one of the most influential philosophers of his time. If he could do that in an era where his fate seemed predetermined, what excuse do we have? I understood that my fear of public speaking was simply a result of how I had programmed my mind to fail. What a shame, and yet what a relief. Do you know why? Because if I could bring myself down, I could also lift myself up. So here's what worked for me to reprogram my mind. Catch the thought before it catches you. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," stop. Ask yourself, Is this a fact or just a perception? Most of the time, it's just a mental habit. When fear grips you, do the opposite of what your mind tells you to do. If it tells you to avoid something, do it anyway. Fear doesn't fade over time. It disappears with action. And finally, remember what Epictetus taught us. Perception is everything. It's not events that affect us, but how we interpret them. If you fail at something, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're learning. If you train your mind to support you instead of sabotage you, everything will change. Because it's not reality that limits you. It's the story you tell yourself about it. The Stoics knew this. We are not slaves to our thoughts. We are their masters. Now, the question is, are you going to let your mind decide for you? Or are you going to program it to lead you to success in everything you set out to do? Lesson 31. If you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep being the same. Have you ever heard the saying, if you want different results, you have to do things differently? Of course you have. It sounds simple, almost obvious. But it's the truth. And yet most people ignore this principle every single day. It's like complaining that you hate your job, but every day you do the exact same thing. Wake up, check your phone, go to the office with a look of resignation, do the bare minimum, come home exhausted, and repeat the cycle. And somehow still expect things to change. Or saying you want to get in shape, but you keep eating the same way, you keep avoiding exercise, and then wonder why you don't see results. Does that make sense? Albert Einstein defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And yet, most people live in that constant state of insanity. They remain stuck in the same habits, the same circles, the same thoughts, and then wonder why their life isn't changing. The Stoics knew that the only way to evolve was to question what they did and how they did it. Epictetus put it bluntly, if you wish to improve, be prepared to look like a fool and an ignorant person. That is the choice. You can stay exactly where you are to fit in, or you can dare to do what's necessary, even if people judge you, even if you stumble. The Stoics knew the answer. They weren't here to be accepted by the world. They were here to become better every day. Imagine yourself in a maze. You keep walking down the same hallway over and over, expecting to find the exit, but you always end up at the same dead end. Does it make sense to keep following the same path? Of course not. The only way out is to change direction, take a different turn, explore an unknown path, to put your mind to work, to reach success. The same applies to everything in life. If you don't know how to escape that repetitive maze that's keeping you stuck, here are some clues. A good start is changing your environment. If you keep surrounding yourself with the same things, you'll keep acting the same way. Put yourself in situations that push you to be better. Then do something uncomfortable. You won't evolve inside your comfort zone. If something scares or unsettles you, it's probably exactly what you need to do. And once again, the ultimate trick is to take action. Not tomorrow, not next week. Start with a small change today. What you do differently today will be the first step toward a different future. Let me tell you from experience, few things in life feel as rewarding as daring to try, testing yourself, and challenging what you once thought was your limit. Just trying is already a guaranteed victory. If you succeed, you'll have grown. If you don't, you still won't have failed. You'll have gained a lesson that brings you closer to your goal. So tell me, are you going to keep walking in circles in that maze of frustration? Or are you going to dare to take a different path? Lesson 32. It's not luck, it's preparation. Many people look at someone else's success and think, they got lucky. As if everything was just a stroke of fortune. As if success simply fell from the sky. But tell me, do you really believe that those who have achieved something great were just in the right place at the right time, waiting for life to smile upon them? No, success isn't magic. It's not a lottery. It's the result of constant preparation, most of the time invisible to others. The Stoics had a clear vision of life. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how prepared you are to face it. Marcus Aurelius wrote every morning about the obstacles he might encounter during the day. He visualized them. He anticipated failure, criticism, and difficulty. That way, when adversity came, it didn't catch him off guard. He was prepared for everything. That's what led him to success. Not luck, not fortune. Seneca put it simply, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. To the Stoics, luck was nothing more than an excuse for those who didn't prepare. The one who trains, who repeats, who disciplines himself, doesn't need luck. He is destined for success. There was once a young man with an impossible dream. He wanted to be the best in his field, even though everyone told him he had no talent. He wasn't particularly gifted, he didn't come from a wealthy family, and he had no connections to make his journey easier. He had only one thing, an obsession with getting better. While others slept, he studied. While others rested, he practiced. He lost competitions, failed auditions, faced rejection, and kept going. Years later, when his opportunity finally came, there was no magic or luck. There was only a man who had worked every day for that moment, regardless of external conditions, regardless of what others said, regardless of anything. That young man was Kobe Bryant. Sound familiar? He woke up at 4 a.m. to train before his teammates even got out of bed. He didn't become a legend because of talent. He became one because he was willing to do what others weren't. When someone asked him what his secret was, he answered, "Secret? There is no secret. I just prepare more than anyone else." Now, think about yourself. If the opportunity you've been waiting for appeared today, that job, that project, that chance to change your life, would you truly be ready to seize it? Or would you hide behind excuses like, "I'm not ready," "It's not the right time," or "Others are just luckier than me"? The truth is this: what we call luck is nothing more than accumulated preparation. If you want to prepare like a Stoic, here are the 3 most important pillars to break all your limits. Train your mind before life tests you, not after. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for adversity to arrive before wondering how to react. Every morning he reflected on the challenges he might face that day. He visualized them. He prepared. And when difficulty came, he was already ready. Improve every day, even when no one is watching. No one saw Kobe Bryant taking thousands of shots alone at 5 a.m. No one saw the great Stoics writing in their journals in the solitude of the night. The real work is done in the shadows. And finally, accept the control you have over your destiny. You can't choose when or how an opportunity will come, but you can make sure you're ready when it does. And when that moment arrives, there won't be luck, only the result of what you did when no one was watching. The truth is this: luck doesn't exist for those who have prepared because they don't need it. Success isn't a mystery. It's the consequence of repetition, of the system you create for yourself, of the constant work you do without needing anyone to congratulate you for it. So stop asking yourself when your opportunity will come. Start preparing so that when it does, it finds you ready. And then others will say they got lucky. But you'll know the truth. And that will be enough. Every day is a new opportunity to prove to yourself what you're made of. It's not about talent, luck, or inspiration. It's about consistency and effort. Because the real difference between those who achieve their goals and those who keep dreaming is the discipline to keep going when others give up. And today, you choose to keep going. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "I train my mind every day." The fact that you've made it to the end says a lot about your commitment to yourself. And that's what builds real strength, day by day. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know someone who needs this message, share it with them. Click the videos on screen and let's keep walking this path together.